I know I'm going to get a lot of crap for the absurd age gap and the way we started. And I agree, and I deserve it, but I would really like some genuine advice past going to counseling. She won't agree, and I can't afford it anyways. Tangible things that I can work on and introduce to help us get this either as a couple or as effective co-parents. Long story short, my ex-wife and I have been together since middle school. We have 4 daughters in their teens. I was a stay-at-home dad and part-time worker for most of my life until my youngest was in middle school. My ex agreed to invest in a passion project business of mine. I hired a receptionist. We started an affair, and she baby-trapped me. Now we're living together and have a young son. She resents me because she feels she was fooled. She saw me as a business owner who had a nice car, nice clothes, took her to nice places, etc. She thought I was rich, so she got pregnant on purpose, admitted it, not an assumption, hoping to use me to not work and sponsor her family from overseas. Well, actually, my ex-wife and her family are the rich ones. None of our homes were in our names. We were renting from her parents and giving them a nominal fee with the expectation that these homes would be left to my ex and me after their death. This allowed my ex's salary, approximately $150,000, not huge in the high cost of living area, to stretch, and we lived a really good life. I left our marriage with half our savings, approximately $25,000, and my personal property and car. I lost my business due to lack of funding, and I did not seek alimony. I resent her because I feel I was fooled. I thought she loved me and couldn't believe the interest a young, hot woman showed in me. She was incredibly persistent and pursued me strongly, but she has no feelings for me, no care or desire. Now that the ruse is dropped, I can't believe I gave up my entire life for what I see was an ego trip. I loved my ex-wife, really I did and still do. But I had never been with another woman, and any attempts to open our relationship were shot down. This was like a wet dream come true, and I was weak. Now both me and my girlfriend are in a place we didn't imagine. She's living in a poopy apartment with an old man and still has to work. I've lost my kids, the love of my life, my family, my lifestyle, my business, and it's all 100% my own fault. She stopped being intimate with me as soon as she found out I wasn't rich. We're still together on my end because I feel like I need to have something to show for this damn show of a situation. At least I got a son and a partner out of it. At least it wasn't for nothing. And also, because I don't trust her with our son. She would never agree to give me full custody, and she's not a good mother. I would be worried for his safety and the people she would have him around. I honestly don't know why she hasn't left me from her end. What can I do to improve this situation? I know, logically, it would be best to break up and co-parent, but I'm afraid for my son and I'm embarrassed for myself. Is there a way to salvage this situation? I'm thinking of just telling her we can have an open relationship. She can sleep with whoever she wants and go wherever she wants as long as she lives here, so I can have my son 100% of the time. I work from home. I don't know if that's the answer here though. Update. I had an affair. My ex-wife divorced me, and my kids absolutely refused to speak to me. I was an incredibly involved dad. Most of their lives, I worked 1 to 2 days a week and then stayed home with them the rest. I was closer to them than their mom, and I'd like to think I've never disappointed them before this. I made a mistake. It's been over 2 years since it all came out, and I haven't been able to make any headway. My eldest is hung up on the fact that I now have a young son. Every firstborn of each generation in my family has been a boy for a long time, and she broke the streak. I honestly couldn't care less about that. I've always thought that pressure was stupid, and I'm not a traditionally masculine guy that always wanted a boy. But she's so hurt that I have a son and is convinced that's all I've ever wanted, and he's replaced her and my daughters. None of that is true. All of my girls said they don't consider themselves to have a brother and want nothing to do with him. All 4 of them feel betrayed and blame me for breaking up our family. I deserve the blame. It's my fault, and I take responsibility. But I can't change the past, and I don't know how I can begin making up for it. My ex has full custody of them, but I'm supposed to have visitation 1 weekend a month. They're all in therapy, and it was suggested to not enforce the visitation and respect their boundaries while they work through it. I've done that the entire time, and there's no progress made. Does anyone have any suggestions about what I can do here? My ex absolutely hates me, but was always supportive of the girls staying in contact with me. She respects their wishes, but still gives me updates once in a while. My eldest is turning 18 soon and graduating this coming year, and probably moving away for university. I feel like the time to make up with her is especially slipping away. I know I'm the crappy person here. I was a terrible husband, but I was honestly a really good dad, and I miss my girls. Has anyone been through something like this? How did it turn out? What are your suggestions? Notable comments. Commenter 1. I mean, there is nothing you can do, really. It's up to them if they want a relationship with you again. Please don't tell me that the affair partner is the mother of the son. Original poster replied, She is. I got a baby trapped during the affair, something she admitted, which I know makes this much worse. I think I could have maintained a relationship with my girls even after the divorce if I didn't have to stay with my AP and didn't have a new baby. Commenter 2. You're an adult who was married with existing children. You didn't have to stay with my affair partner. You chose to abandon your family for your affair partner and her son. Original poster replied, I have to stay with her because she's a bad mother, and I don't trust her with our son. If we split up, then she would have him at least 50% of the time. I would have left a long time ago if not for that. Also, commenter 2, I mean, you literally abandoned them for a girl half your age and a new kid. What did you expect? Original poster replied, I didn't abandon them. I didn't leave my family for my girlfriend. I wanted to stay with my girls and my ex and work this out. My ex refused because the girls already knew about the affair, and it wouldn't be setting a good example, and there was going to be another child involved that she wanted nothing to do with. But to be clear, I would have stayed with my family after the affair if given the choice. The affair was a stupid mistake born out of curiosity, since my ex was the only woman I've ever been with. It was not something I was committed to or wanted to continue long term. Commenter 3. My fiancé and I have only ever been together, and we check in all of the time to talk about curiosity. We've decided if we ever choose to explore, we're going to a harlot because there won't be feelings involved and it'll be just making love. Did you ever have honest conversations like that with your ex? Why didn't you talk it out before having an affair? Did you just plan on not getting caught? I just read your previous post, and holy wow, you are a fool, and you have a lot of life left to live with the guilt of all your failures. You want to keep your relationship with your affair partner. You have something to show for blowing up your life, but what you should have done is break up with her and co-parent. If my dad did what you did, I'd just see you as a creepy, pathetic loser, and I'd never want anything to do with you again for hurting my mom. You forfeited every Christmas, birthday, graduation, wedding, grandchild, so you could sleep with someone almost my age? Barf. Original poster replied, I brought this up before and we did have honest conversations about it. We'd been together since middle school and had been each other's first and only. She loved that. She had no curiosity about other people and thought it was special that we'd only sleep with each other. And she is a very monogamous person in general, couldn't even handle the thought of me being with someone else. If I wanted to be with someone else, it would have to be as a single man. I didn't seek an affair. My girlfriend pursued me strongly, and it just happened. She got pregnant quite early. I didn't really plan on anything. Commenter 4. You chose your affair over your family. These are the consequences of your actions. You will never again have the same relationship with them. One weekend a month is nothing. Is there a reason you didn't fight for custody? It would have shown you actually cared. You're right about one thing. You can't change the past. Unfortunately, it informs the present and the future. Original poster replied, I did fight for custody, but they were all old enough that the court considered their preference and the situation and only granted me visitation. A part of that was also because I didn't have the means to get a place large enough for all 4 girls, my son, my girlfriend, and myself. I still don't have room for them in my current apartment, and being a stay-at-home dad did not give me the experience, education, to get a good enough job to support them here. If I had the choice, I would have chosen my ex and family over my affair partner. Update. Good news. My girlfriend and I have broken up. She has gone back to her home country and left my son with me. Refused to sign any formal custody agreement, so I'm hoping she stays there and doesn't bother us again. I'm pretty sure if she comes back and demands time with him, I have a good case for maintaining custody. She's not even interested in FaceTiming with him, so he remembers her. I feel bad that my son will have to deal with an absent mother, but I hope I can get him into therapy as he grows. Bad news. I've tried my best to insist on visitation with my daughters, and that has fallen through. They absolutely refused to see me. They wrote me a letter together that says how much they hate me, how betrayed they feel, how they'll never forgive me, and how my son will never be their brother. Do not even bother telling him about them, because they'll never be interested in knowing him. Just to forget about them altogether and move on with my new family. I have no legal recourse. The youngest is 13 now, old enough to have a say in custody arrangements. And I don't think forcing them to see me would do me any favors long-term anyways. They also included pictures of their mother's wedding. My ex has no obligation to tell me about her personal life, but I'm pretty pissed that there is a man living with my daughters that I didn't know about. It is a family friend that has been in their lives for more than 10 years. So not a total stranger, but still hurt to see pictures of their recent wedding and family pictures with my daughters. They mentioned that they have a father figure and don't need me anyways. The whole thing really hurt. I know I have no right to feel hurt that my ex has moved on when I cheated on her. But their whole relationship has moved very fast, so I'm now wondering if they started it before we got divorced. No way to know now. Doesn't matter anyways. My ex agreed to keep me up to date and send pictures of my daughters once in a while. After dealing with my son's mom, I'm grateful she is so good to our girls and I don't have to worry about their well-being. I'm trying to focus on being a good dad to my son and patiently waiting for my girls to grow up and reach out. It may never happen, but I'm hopeful that they will understand me more as they become adults and gain context for life. Somebody said in the comment section, I'm taking a different stance. Although the children are aware of your cheating, ultimately that is between you and your ex-wife. It's none of the business of the kids. 100% on the wife for poisoning your memory in the eyes of the kids. A good woman would have said to the kids, yes, he is with another woman, but he's still your father and always will be, and he was always good to you, and I expect you guys to have a relationship with him. Original poster replied, my ex-wife didn't have to tell them anything. My then-girlfriend got pregnant while we were still married. My kids were teenagers and smart, educated enough about making love and relationships to put two and two together. It was obvious I cheated. I decided honesty was best and explained the whole situation. My ex was supportive of them having a relationship with me, but did not force them. I didn't want to force them either. New update. I have been away for several years. Most of you have heard my story. I won't bore you with any of the details. I deleted my old account because I was too embarrassed to ever come back to it. I took the advice I was given. I left my daughters alone and have not heard from them since, which is understandable. I did finally get myself in therapy and realized what a gross piece of poop I was to the 5 most important people in the world to me at the time. In the end, I came to the conclusion that I needed to accept the fact that they were simply gone. 7 months after their final contact, I wrote my ex-wife an email saying that I did not want any further updates on their lives and that I would never contact any of them again. She agreed and stopped sending me emails shortly afterwards. It was painful for a long while, and I thought I'd just punish myself forever. I agree with the general conclusion of the commenters that I am a narcissist, and in retrospect, I probably had no business being a father. I began to read books more often in an effort to gain perspective, in between taking care of my son and doing the best I could to make sure I appreciated how horrible I was, and probably still am. 5 months ago, one of the regulars at my place of business took an interest in me and asked me for my number. I was pretty wary for obvious reasons, but I agreed. Knowing how prone I am to being an utter cunt to everyone I care about, I was pretty upfront with her that I had cheated on my ex-wife and had no contact with my former family. I figured that would end her interest, but surprisingly not. She did end up interrogating me pretty harshly over it, which I let her do because I definitely needed to be dressed down over it by someone besides my therapist. So now, she and her 7-year-old daughter, she was widowed 3 years ago, are with me in their house with my son, and we seem to be tentatively forming a new family. I am very paranoid about something going wrong, so whenever I'm not working, I always go straight to their place or mine and ask her to come over. I like to think I have learned my lesson, but many people here say cheaters usually relapse. I have had zero desire to do so. But can a person truly change like that? I hope so. I will not cheat on her. I know it. But my past haunts me when I think about it. If my son ever asks me how things came to be, I'll tell him the truth when he's old enough to understand. We may not be a family by blood, but the 4 of us are a family. And I will always be there for both of my kids. One thing that bothers me is how detached I feel from my previous family. I can honestly say I don't love any of my former daughters anymore, and they obviously don't love me. And that's fine. I feel completely at peace with it. My son, his new sibling, and his new mother are my second chance, and I have embraced it. But what does that say about me? I spent 16 years with them, and in less than 3, I have been able to completely emotionally detach from them. I have made it a point not to use social media so they can't see my new life, and my girlfriend shares my disdain for it. But aside from that, our existences do not affect one another anymore. They have a new father and role model, and I have a new family. It is done. That is all I have to say, Reddit. Now feel free to tell me to screw off, since I deserve it. Notable comments. If he doesn't love his daughters, why would I? What I did was so unforgivable that it eradicated any love that once existed between us. There's no point attempting to bring that back. Do you expect me to self-flagellate for the rest of my life? My former daughters asked me to forget about them and move on, and I did. I learned a lot of hard lessons, but none of those lessons ended with the conclusion, reach out to them. They have a father and are better off without me, and I'm happy without them. I'm not turning into a monk because of my past sins, mate. I learned from them and moved on with my new family, which is what my former daughters asked me to do. Why would I love them? They hated me, disowned me, and asked me to forget about them and move on. Some actions are unforgivable and cannot ever be made up. They don't need me, and I don't need them. They're doing just fine with their new dad. I don't resent them for feeling the way they do. They're right to hate me and never forgive me. In return, I feel justified in forgetting they exist and moving on with my life. I admit we might be going fast, but things feel right. We make each other happy and our kids love each other, which is rare for siblings with their age gap. I have no desire to cheat on her and screw up what I made for myself. I did love them, but I took them and my ex-wife for granted and threw them away so I could sleep with someone younger than my ex-wife. After doing something so horrible to them, they were right to hate me and stop loving me. And I think it was right for me to forget about them and move on, as per their explicit and very clearly stated request. They disowned me and hated me so much they wished I was dead. Why would I continue to care about them? They're not my daughters anymore. Again, I feel that my betrayal of them was so complete and so absolute that it destroyed any love that once existed between us. They do not want me as their father, and I have, as someone said in my other posts, nothing to offer them. They have a dad and don't need me. Parental love can die if the parent does something so vile and unforgivable that his children stop loving him forever. They are done with me, and they don't care about me. I tried to show I cared about them by fighting for custody and visitation, and that only made them angry. They have a father, and it's not me anymore. You are seriously overestimating how much they care about my opinion. When my ex-wife kicked me out, they burned all of our old family photos in the fire pit and celebrated when they did. I am dead to them, and have been since the moment they found out I was going to have a son. Their stepfather loves them and cares about them. They don't need that from me. I discussed this with my therapist. It was pointed out to me that no matter what I did or said, I would never get back to where I used to be with them, and being reminded of their lives without me just made me want to end myself. Ceasing to care about my daughters was necessary for me to move on with my life. Actually, all they told me was that I would never get back to where I was. My therapist mentioned that reconciliation was an option I could pursue, but it would be extremely difficult and a lot of work and may not succeed. Given how much my former daughters hate me, I decided to forget they existed, which my therapist didn't entirely agree with. They don't and will never need my assistance. Their mom is rich and their stepfather is their father figure. I have nothing to offer them and never will. Truthfully, I have completely ceased to care about them. If they were all to die in an accident tomorrow, I doubt it would make me feel much of anything. I failed them as a father, and now I have a second chance that I'm doing my best not to waste.